My name is Mike Lode, and I specialize in helping aspiring real estate investors identify ideal properties, use systems so that they can self-manage their properties and qualify for the tax savings that come from accelerated depreciation and the one big beautiful bill.
I always tell people it's not get rich quick, it's get rich slowly, but it does happen, right?
And the reason that I like real estate investing so much more than other methods is it's one of the only investments where you can decide what your rate of return is going to be by deciding how much leverage you want to utilize in the properties that you buy. If I want to own $100,000 of stock, I have to put in $100,000.
Correct, yeah.
Whereas if I want to own $100,000 of real estate, I only have to put in $20,000.
Sure.
And so the exact same investment gets me 5 times the returns. And so that ability to leverage your money allows you to, if you're being conservative about real estate investing, at a minimum, you should be doubling the returns that you would get in a balanced portfolio in the stock market. Food, healthcare, housing. Those are the only 3 businesses you can choose to get into that aren't a fad and won't go out of style. So I ask people, do you think inflation's going to go backwards? Are we going to experience deflation? And everyone knows inflation's gotten worse, not better. So if you have $1 million to invest and you put it in the stock market, you're earning $70,000 to $80,000 a year with a balanced portfolio of 60% stocks and 40% bonds. If you're investing in $1 million in real estate and you're putting 20% down, you're able to buy $5 million of real estate. And if they go up the average appreciation over the last 40 years of 5%, you've got $5 million properties. Each one generates $50,000 of profit. That's $250,000. That's a 25% return compared to your 7 to 8% return. That's triple the stock market.
Sure.
It's very reminiscent of the dot-com bubble. And that's a scary place to have all your money sitting. And since the 2008 crash that we had in real estate, we've underbuilt everywhere in the US. We have a drastic shortage of housing. And even if every Utahn stopped having kids, we have 20 years of kids that are going to be aging into leaving their parents' home and needing to either rent or buy. And so we have a 20-year pent-up demand if everyone stopped having kids. But people aren't going to stop having kids. And so we have built-in 20 years of demand. Real estate is how all the ultra-wealthy families in America pay very little in taxes. And people might get upset about that. But at the end of the day, we have a shortage of housing. And so the question is, how does the government incentivize people with money to build housing for people who don't have money? And the answer is tax incentives. So that average $500,000 rental property that you might get in Utah is going to generate between $100,000 and $125,000 tax deduction the year you buy the property. And you're still going to be able to generate between a $12,000 and a $15,000 deduction every year thereafter for the remaining 26 and a half years. If you want to build generational wealth and retire with a reliable income and not have to worry about outliving your savings, real estate is a great place to be. Cash flow is a bad thing until you're ready to retire. That cash flow is a monthly temptation to spend on things that you don't need. If someone pays off their property, they're only earning 2 to 3%. Whereas if you're leveraging, you're earning 25 to 40%. If you can pay the bank 6% and you can earn 25%, you want as much debt as you can get. So I mentioned earlier, I think before we started recording, that my broker has been in real estate for 50 years and he learned about this strategy 15 years ago. And since then, he hasn't paid taxes and none of his investor clients have paid taxes. If you listen to podcasts on like Bigger Pockets podcast, like the hosts of that show will talk about, I had a property where I hadn't collected rent in 8 months. And I just didn't realize it because I wasn't using systems. And so there's no school to go to teach you how to be a property manager. And so we provide that for our clients. When it comes to if you're buying new construction and following this, paying someone 10% to do basically nothing is a huge waste. It does not make sense to pay for a property manager for a new construction property. This has become a full-time job, and I only have 8 doors across 3 properties. We want to buy more real estate. We've got the money sitting in the bank, but we can't handle more. But also the biggest savings is you can legally claim the tax savings. And if you're a successful business owner that has income in the highest tax bracket, buying a townhome is going to get you over $100,000 deduction the year you buy the property. That's going to save you $30,000 to $40,000 off your tax bill. So these buildings, when you see a Taco Bell or a Burger King or a Walmart or a Home Depot, right? Like the colors, the way it's built, like you know what that business is from the architecture. But those buildings are built to suit, and they come with a 10-year lease guaranteed by the parent company. And once you start, if you have 30 years till retirement, you can build $1 million a year in passive income over 30 years, starting with one property. If he just, every 7 to 8 years, he doubles his portfolio, he's going to retire with several $1 million a year in passive income from the wealth that he's going to build. That is generational wealth. He's not even 30 yet.
Instead of putting 50,000 in the stock market, put it into real estate.
And essentially, the government's going to pay. So if you're making over $100,000, say you have a good paying job, and you're making over $100,000, you're in the 24% tax bracket if you're single. If you're married and you're making close to $200,000, you're paying at least 24% federal income taxes. And so that you buy a property, it's going to wipe out taxes on $100,000 of income. And so that's saving you $24,000. Yeah, like CPAs are generalists. If you were to print out the tax code in 12-point font on paper, it would be as tall as a 33-story building. It is impossible for a CPA, like most CPAs are generalists.